Yay.
Have you had a nice birthday so far?
It's pretty early. It's 9, so like the day is starting off with a lot of love, but I'm gonna get into some tequila soon.
Nice.
I'm gonna start with champagne and then go to tequila midday.
Very glam. This is such an honored speaker. I'm such a stan. Loving the new music so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to start asking, like, how are you holding up in general? Are you writing? Are you working much?
Yeah, I'm doing a mix of things. A mix of like gathering my personal life that some things that we may have put on hold just because we simply didn't have the time. And I'm like addressing certain things like communication, relationships. I'm learning how to garden. I've dabbled in piano and Spanish and audiobooks, just trying to like gain knowledge, but also working and like still collaborating. I've met a lot of people that I wanted to meet before quarantine. I guess now everyone has the time to like say hello. So there's been some really cool cross collaborations that have happened through this. So it almost feels more productive.
I want to dive in with, sorry for the awful
yes,
place. Dive in with Dive, because it's insane. What was the inspiration behind it? And when did you decide you wanted to write it?
I think that Dive was actually the last song to be completed on my forthcoming Jaguar project, but listening back to it, I think it was just such an important part of the project because it talks and takes ownership of like what women would really think and want, and I haven't really heard it besides like rap, you know what I mean? Like I never heard it in like an R&B or soul package like this. I love like pushing those lines sexually in like R&B and soul, and really just speaking for the women who maybe would have felt ashamed to talk about it, or it's like kind of frowned upon because of culture, religion, whatever. But we think about it and we wonder. So I just wanted to include those thoughts for us.
And these lyrics and these innuendos are insane. Is there a standout lyric for you in the song?
I want to see what your head game like. That sentence is like, feels, when it's said, it feels masculine. And then when you hear it in the song, it's like, okay. So it just feels like something that wouldn't normally be said by a woman naturally, but we think it. So, and also like people's reactions when they hear that, they're like, oh, I like that shock factor too.
And actually all the lyrics on Ask Like That, Moment and Dive have been really assertive and empowering. Was that something you were conscious of when you were writing?
Looking back on it, I was more enthusiastic about that, but I really think that when I was writing the songs, it's just exactly how I felt. And I think what allowed me to do that is just being unapologetic and unafraid of the opinions, because I had been catering to certain rules and politics in songs before, and like trying to say, I can't cuss in this song because of radio, and I can't do this because of this. And I just, this time, ignored all of those rules and just created. So I think looking back on it now, I'm like, okay, well, that's what forgetting that would provide. So I'm gonna continue to think that way in the creative room.
The production is like the best production I've heard you ever do. Like
D-Mile. It's D-Mile. Well, it's D-Mile and musicians, and like I've like started working with new like live musicians even more. So I think it all plays a part in like the bed of the song, and it feels so good.
Well, like the strings, the bed springs, the trumpet.
Yeah.
I feel like D-Mile really gets you as an artist. Is that something you felt on this project?
Yeah, I mean, the backstory with me and D-Mile is when I first moved to LA, I was in a girl group and we didn't have any place to live. And one of the girls happened to know D-Mile from New York. He had two other roommates, and he let so many people stay there at his house, and we had nothing. So this is going on like a 10-year relationship. And so he not only gets me like in the music space, it's just like family. So it's so easy to collaborate. And I like those types of relationships that really feel deeper than music, because I feel like you can sense that somehow. And then musicians, like they have a lot of influence in my ideas. Now that I know I have access to horns and strings and live guitars and stuff, I'll hear melodies for those instruments too, and I'll give those to them. So I feel like a little orchestra, like orchestrating my own little world of music, and I really, really am having a good time.
It feels like you're finally getting the budget you deserve.
Yeah, that too. That too. I think I'm distributing and independent through Platoon. It's almost like I feel like I'm being homeschooled, which is way better because I'm learning so much more and getting so much more out of what I want to do and being so much more creative. So I'm so happy where I am.
Well, a lot of artists lately have spoken up about label issues, like Megan Thee Stallion, Tinashe. And you've spoken before about signing bad contracts when you were younger. Is there any advice you'd give to younger musicians starting out now?
As a musician or artist, you do this because you love it. And so whether or not you're being paid for it, you would do it, which makes the contracts and anything that you're offered feel like icing on the cake. But you really need to think with your business side as well, because, you know, as us creatives, sometimes we're not as good on the business side because we're so into like our own world. And I feel like it's really important to educate yourself on the business end, or get a really good team that has focused on business and they can advise you and you'll actually listen to them. And also reading your contracts, lawyering up, and knowing that you're valuable beyond just wanting to do what you're passionate about.
You've been releasing music since 2014. What makes Jaguar so different as a project? What's different this era?
One, I feel like confidence, dropping the care a lot. I think in my prior projects is where they were very experimental, but also somewhat ahead of their time and not refined. So I can hear where I wanted to go, and like their ideas have always been a bit left of center. As far as like my first projects, Nightmares and Lullabies, you can tell that I wanted to go left of center and not too traditional R&B. But I just needed the grooming, and I didn't put that much time into it because I had songwriting to do, and it was like making me more income and stuff. So like I really focused more on that than my own stuff. It was almost like my artist, although it was my passion, was my side project. And now for this, I really took a month and a half, 2 months to just not do any other songwriting and just dive into, dive into this project and discover what it is that I like about music, what sounds I like, what lyrics I like.
Also, alongside your music, you've become so open about being a bisexual Black woman in the industry, which means you've become such an inspiration for so many young queer kids. Were there any queer artists or people in particular that you looked up to growing up that helped you feel seen?
No, and that's the problem. I feel like I found out about artists that were queer later in life. Like for instance, Whitney Houston. Like if I would have known that then, you know what I mean? I wonder what it would have felt like, you know, when I heard her sing certain lyrics, like would I think and be able to relate to them even more. But I feel like there's a time and a place for everything, and I think the world is now being forced to be ready for people like us, and I'm just happy to be a part of that movement because I feel like we're kind of coming together and we want to normalize it, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be rare for someone to be able to say this because I know it exists more than it's said. I think that's one reason why I hid it for a long time, because it felt like I was ashamed, like something was wrong because that was what it was painted to me as a kid. But I think that's also another part of the reason why my music feels more celebratory and like nonchalant about sexuality, because I don't care anymore. Like I'm out. So I feel free.
Good.
You know?
Obviously, though, talking about artists you look up to, you've worked with so many icons, like writing at the moment. Are there any people on your bucket list you'd still love to work with?
Oh my gosh, yes, Drake is one. Even just sing along to his rapping lyrics and the backgrounds, you know what I mean? He's such an incredible writer, and the way he delivers his lyrics as well, it sticks, you know? I also love Sade. I don't know how we would collaborate, but like her voice, she's definitely on the bucket list. Beyonce, Janet, like the icons. So yeah, I have a few true icons that I've, you know, grew up listening to that are here and well, and I would love to just work with or just observe, you know, to be in the studio with them and sit as a fly on the wall. I'd be down.
Well, also with artists like Janet and Sade, you can hear their influence in your music and your artistry.
Tell me more. I love that.
Like both soft-spoken women who are very assertive and know what they want in their lyrics.
Yes. You know, you can hear Janet's unapologetic ways about sex too in her music, whether it's about a woman or not. I could grab that from her as a mother, you know, and Sade's like smooth lyrics, and she has a lot of deep lyrics, but they're deep but simple. And I feel like Drake does that well too. I kind of want to try to master that more as well. And
obviously you've worked with Ariana for years. What was it like finally getting not one but two #1 singles that you co-wrote with 7 Rings and Thank You Notes?
Actually insane. It's like, you know, because the story is that I've been writing on her projects since the first project, and I've known her
Honeymoon Avenue.
Yes, first placement with her, and like 2 years before that is when we met. So it's been a long time coming. I feel somewhat like the underdog of her projects because we always had great songs on the album, but never the singles. So like the last album before Thank You Next, there was like, she shot videos to the songs that we collaborated on, which was another amazing step, but they still weren't proper singles. And then to have the first singles that she ever released with us to go #1, it's like, you know, yes, yeah, you know, like, so I was definitely on a high on life. For sure.
Do you have a song, like a favorite song you've written that you think should have been a single or didn't get the respect it deserved?
I honestly feel like Be Alright was a really incredible song that like could have been even bigger. But when I go on a tour, like I was opening for her and I hear people in the audience, I'm like, people still resonate with the song. It doesn't matter that the label didn't, you know, put the budget behind it and push it to the charts and like all of that stuff. The point of the song is so that people really feel like after some darkness, things are going to be fine when they hear that song, so they can finally be celebratory. And when I see people in the arena singing it that way, I still feel just as satisfied.
Justice for Be Alright, always.
Yes. Yes.
And obviously you've collabed loads now. You did Better Days, Monopoly,
yeah.
Got Her Own. How do you two decide when you're actually going to collab on a song?
Monopoly, I played for her on tour and I was like, we should do this together because like just felt like something we both would enjoy and sing. And because one of her fans was with her and he was like, when are you guys going to do another song? And she was like, Victoria, when are we doing another song? I was like, I think I have one. I just did it the other day. Listen, she was like, oh, immediately, I'm obsessed. So then she got a studio in the city we were in. But yeah, I'm lucky to have a really talented friend. It's like, it's really fun to have a friend to sing with, you know. It's almost, I always wanted a sister, but I grew up an only child, so now it feels like I have a sister in music, and it's just like cool to be able to share your passion with your best friend. It's like, you know, another element and layer to us.
Well, you can hear how much fun you have in Monopoly. It reminds me of a bit of 7-Eleven by Beyonce, where she just was having so much fun on a track and it wasn't so thought out or convoluted.
No. Yeah, it's very like almost like we're freestyling.
And obviously going into Jaguar, there's not been any collabs yet on the album. Have you kept it just you, or is there anything?
On the first part, there are no official collabs, but I do plan on bringing people in for remixes. But on the other part, I already have some lined up. So we'll just, you know, see what happens.
Okay. Is there a release date? I know everything must be up in the air right now, but...
It actually was supposed to come out today, the whole project, but I was supposed to go to Cuba to shoot the Jaguar music video, and now we're just finding another way to do it through technology. So I'm just kind of waiting on that visual so that I can put that visual out with the project. But yeah, it's not going to be any later than summer, so it's soon. I think I'll get in trouble if I say actual date, but it's very, very soon.
Is there a dive video, or because of things that they're not finished now?
No, there's not an official dive music video, but there's like this little skit, because I loved doing skits for Ask Like That and stuff. So I just made like a homemade version of the skit that's going to be kind of interactive, where I'll go on live stream and people can play the game, because I've actually become like a game show host. I got this little spin wheel that you can like spin and win prizes that I'll mail to you. So I'm trying to make it interactive, but there's no official music video. But Jaguar, the next release, will have one. And so that's what we're working on right now.
Cannot wait. Thank you so much, Victoria. Enjoy the rest of your birthday. Drink lots of tequila.
Yes, cheers.
Come to the UK when you can.
I was supposed to come there, and there's another reason why I'm heartbroken, because like the week we got put on lockdown, I would have been there. So I'm like, I love it so much. I will be there as soon as they let us.
We'll see you in person next time.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much.